Welcome to the garden today. My name's Gary. I'm in Southeast Texas. Today we're going to be talking about the differences in determinate and indeterminate tomatoes and which one's best for our Texas environment. And it's going to vary. But first off, what is the determinate variety of tomatoes? That's going to be, the determinate part of it says a tomato will get to a certain height, a predetermined height, and stop. Normally it's about 4 foot tall, height of this post right here. This post I use to use the Florida weave, and you don't want the tomatoes to get too tall. So if you're doing the determinate tomatoes, and usually they will get between 4 and 5 foot tall as they'll get. It's not necessarily that they're a predetermined fruit set. A lot of times people say, well, they're going to produce a certain amount of fruit and that's it. Or they're going to produce fruits all at one time and that's it. And that's not true. What they'll do is they will produce a good load like 3 times. There'll be one set here, and then they'll kind of move up. And usually 3 main crops of them. They'll still produce some after that because they're just not getting taller, but they're still bushing out. They still have some other areas that they can put fruit on. But it does have a concentrated set, which is good if you're trying to process or do the other. But they also tend to be much more productive in our Texas environment because we don't have a long growing season for slicing tomatoes in Texas, okay? We start early in the spring. I try to start sometime late February if I can. I may have to cover them once or twice, but you know, I'll plant them in the ground then, and then come sometime in June, I'll quit setting fruit because it gets too hot, and then ripen the rest of the fruit, and by July, we're done with that season of tomatoes. We can't hardly carry those tomatoes through the fall. Now some people do, but the problem is you got diseases, you got wilts, and you got all the different diseases that hit them. You got fire blight, you got early blight, late blight. Early blight will slowly work from the bottom and move up. Late blight will wipe them out within a week. And that's what I had out here. Here's what I had tomatoes this past year. I will not be going back with tomatoes here next year because I got a lot of diseases here, so I'll move over there. Hopefully there'll be enough space to do that. But your determinants are just going to grow so high. Now, the good thing about them is they do just grow so high. So I can use a Florida weave, a trellis system on it. I don't have to have these huge posts because when you do the Florida weave, you're kind of moving around and you want to be able to get over the post. And if you got a post even this high, you can't hardly do it. So that's a good point. The other good points, they tend to be early, it's concentrated set. The knocks on determinate tomatoes. The flavor is usually not, the average determinate tomato is not as flavorful as the average indeterminate tomatoes. And your best flavored tomatoes are almost always going to be indeterminate. Your determinate tomatoes put on so much of the fruit set, they don't have a good leaf to fruit ratio to be able to, make a really flavorful tomato. They've improved over time. They're better tasting now than they was, the varieties like Celebrity was an old variety. I think the Hosinator and the Red Snapper are 2 newer determinate varieties. They're going to have a better flavor to them. But even a Celebrity tomato, and it's actually semi-determinate, but it acts as determinate, but anyway. So people in the comments say, well, actually it's not, I know. But whenever you got so much fruit set on it, it don't have enough leaf surface to be able to put the flavor in it, but it's still a better flavor than you'll get anything that you buy in the store, even if it's organic or whatever. Mainly because they're not being refrigerated. Refrigeration kills the taste of a tomato. You can take a really good tasting indeterminate tomato, put in the refrigerator, and it won't taste as good as a Celebrity that's not been put in the refrigerator. So don't refrigerate your tomatoes unless you want to kill the taste. So you get more fruit with the determinate in our area because we don't got a certain amount of growing season. Now, why do people grow indeterminate? Well, indeterminate is going to grow fruit all the way up that vine. And that vine is going to go as high as you can let that vine get. To the point that when I've heard, I've never seen it, but when I was on one of the garden forums and he knew a big company that's put in greenhouse tomatoes, and he said they had, I think, 20-foot tall rafters or trellises, and they had tomatoes all the way up it, you know. And what they'd do is they'd lay them down and go pick them, and then lay them back up, you know, to let them continue to ripen or continue to grow. Because indeterminate tomato does not have a set point. It's just going to get higher and higher. Same thing with like a watermelon. It's going to continue to throw out that vine as long as it can. Good part about it, you do have a longer season of if it's setting fruit and producing fruit. It's a more consistent, you know, fruiting, and they do have better flavor. You know, the flavor of those, you know, of your indeterminates just tastes better when we get into high-end indeterminate varieties. The bad part about them, hard to put them in one of these trellises. They just get too big. I do use these cages, and these cages are 5 foot tall. They will come out the top of those cages. I mean, I've grown, now it was cherry tomato, but I grew, I think it's like 12 foot tall one time. You know, because it went up, and it kind of went beside the house, it went up above the house, and it draped back over. So if you were straightening it out, it was right at 10 foot, maybe taller. Makes story worth telling, I'll say 12. But they just love to grow. The problem with them is, in Texas, they're not going to continue to grow because we hit summer. So in the north, it's probably better to plant indeterminate. Now, I will say that indeterminates have kind of fallen out of favor because the flavor is just not quite as good, and people think, hey, I'll plant an indeterminate and they'll make fruit all summer, or they'll make fruit longer. Really, in Texas, they're probably gonna make fruit about the same time. You know, they're both gonna give out in July. Now, as far as fertilizing, there is a difference. I know I was watching Haas Tools, and I really respect Greg, the owner of it, and you know, he's a very knowledgeable man. And I used to give talks to people about fertilizing their tomatoes at Master Gardeners, or I was giving talks about nutrition, and I was bringing in tomatoes as an example. And I'd always say, don't over fertilize your tomato plants, or you get all vine and no fruit. Okay. Well, watching Greg at Haas Tools, he's saying you've got to feed your tomatoes well. They've got to be able to put on, you know, you can't, you know, they need a good fertility to them. And I'm scratching my head thinking, okay, I know he's good. I'm saying the opposite, and I was trying to figure out why. And it finally dawned on me when I was watching more of his videos and things. He grew mainly determinate varieties of tomatoes. So his tomatoes are only get so tall and they're going to quit growing. And he was wanting to put a lot of fertility on it so he would have enough fertility to be able to be able to make the tomato load that they need to make. Because you're putting on a lot of fruit, you got to put on a lot of nutrients to make that fruit. He was also wanting to put on a lot of leaves so he would cover up the tomato fruit so they wouldn't get sun scald. Down here, we were growing mainly indeterminates. In indeterminates, you put a lot of fertilizer on them. Yeah, they're going to shoot up a whole lot of growth, and then, you know, they may not even, if you put on too much fertilizer, they may not start producing fruit until you get about this height. And I've done that before. It'll grow and grows really, you know, and then you're out of, you know, of growing height. So now they're flopping over and doing all kinds of stuff. So we were both right in the fact that if you have a determinate variety of tomatoes, you need to fertilize them better. You need to go ahead and get that growth on them. You need to go ahead and make sure that dark green. If you're growing indeterminates, you kind of want to back off on fertilizer a little bit, because they're going to grow, and if you're not careful, you will get all vine and very little fruit. So that also makes a difference. Now, if you're growing in containers, now my towel's not going to show this, I don't think. If you're growing in containers, I want to grow, like say, in a 5-gallon bucket. Neither one of these are the best, okay? So really, to me, determinates are good for your workhorse, grows your best variety, you know, grows your bulk of your tomato crop. Go to indeterminate to get the best flavor. As I was telling one person, these are for your in-laws on your determinate varieties. These over here are for your very best friends and for your family, okay? So, but if you're trying to grow in a 5-gallon bucket, either one of these are going to be too big. you know. So what I would do if it was me is you go with what they call the dwarf tomatoes. Dwarfs are made for 5-gallon buckets, or maybe a little bit bigger, but 5-gallon buckets is big enough to grow those tomatoes. They've got a gene in them that basically cuts the growth of those plants in half. In other words, if you have a plant that typically gets 8 feet tall, they're only going to get 4 feet tall. If you got one that's going to grow 6 foot, they're going to go 3 foot. And that way, you're restricting that growth enough that it's not going to push up a whole bunch of foliage and then not have enough roots and moisture, you know, not have enough moisture in that pot and enough fertilizer in that bucket to still produce fruit. That's what happened is you get a whole lot of vine, the plant stunts out on you, and you never get any fruit. So go with one of the dwarf kind of tomatoes. Now, if you don't have even a 5-gallon bucket, let's say you got a little old 6-inch bucket, you know, this big around, this tall, this little bitty pot, you can still grow tomatoes. You just go with what they call micro dwarfs. Now, it's a little more complicated than genetics, but these tomatoes, now with the dwarf tomatoes, they'll any kind, any flavor, color, size you want, you can grow as a dwarf. Micro dwarfs are basically just cherry tomatoes, but they are pretty productive, and you can grow those in little bitty pots. Now, what you can do, like today, we're in the 70s, which is great, but Monday, you know, this is Saturday. Monday, we're going to be down to 25 as a low. So what you can do is you can start growing that little micro dwarf tomato. Let it grow. It's growing good. Day like day, set it outside, gets all the sun and all the humidity and everything else going around. That's great. And then when it gets cold, you just bring it inside, put it on the light, because I guarantee you within 3 or 4 days, we're going to warm back up. We're going to have another days in the 70s, or at least the 60s. You take it back out. So once it gets above 40 degrees, just take it back outside. It's not heavy. You're not toting a 5-gallon bucket. You're toting a small pot. And you can actually have tomatoes in the wintertime. I've done it before. Didn't do it this year just because it's a lot of hassle moving in and out. But it is doable. But anyway, to me, if you're growing in Texas, grow both a determinate variety and an indeterminate variety. Your indeterminate varieties will give you the best flavor. The determinate varieties will give you the greatest production. Anyway, that's the video for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.